What's going on, Chazz? How you feeling?
Good to yourself. How you feeling today? I normally give you your credit when you do back to backs like yesterday, bro. You ready to roll?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm ready because the subject matter we're talking about is crucial. I think today I'm going to slow it down because I know a lot of times I talk fast when I get excited, but I want to slow the train down tonight because this important subject matter that we're going to talk about is something that we really need to just take our time because we're going to be dealing with the damage of stress. A lot of times we talk about stress, but we have a video to show tonight what stress does to us. We're both not neuroscientists or biologists, but we have done a little research tonight so that we can kind of share with the people how dangerous this is. Do you think people realize how dangerous this stress is?
No, and especially in the African American community, this also contributes to why we're on a lot of blood pressure medicine and a lot of anger issues. I don't think we are really taking this seriously, sir. This is a terrible, terrible epidemic that's been spread around the Black community. And like you mentioned, I don't think we're taking it serious.
Yeah, and my concern is the biological aspect of it. We don't talk about what really happens when we're stressed out internally because we don't really study like that. We don't know that. We just look at the signs, how we're going off and we're, can't sleep and, we're just lethargic and all the things that happen to us when we're stressed out. But inside of us, Chazz, we have to look at some things that are going on that's catastrophic. And tonight, I believe a lot of people are going to say, this is much more serious than I thought.
I hope, and this is just me, I hope we get to do 3 rounds of this because, bro, this is going to be a lot. And I know we may not be able to get to all the notes. Hopefully we can, but I believe this is going to be a good series with this stress thing. There's whites and there's Hispanics and there's Japs and there's Chinese who go through this. But I'm telling you, in the African American community, even since we were kids, you can go back to the 70s or 80s. This has been plaguing the Black community.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So I want to start off by telling everybody we thank you for tuning in tonight. We know that you could have been doing something different. This broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. All we ask is that you tell a friend because most of us, if not most of us, all of us are dealing with the damage that stress has done to us. And a lot of us are like walking time bombs. So we really are. And when you see what it does to us, and we're going to also give some, I guess, application. But again, Chazz, I know we've done many broadcasts about things we can do to stop the stress. But tonight we're going to get into it as we look at this image. This is like a machine. And when that machine breaks down, a lot of things happen to us. So having said that, let's start off by having you set the stage with a fact that we must talk about at the outset.
Fact. The American Institute of Stress reports that around 75 to 90% of the population is affected by stress. This is a serious problem. It definitely is a serious problem. And like I said, a lot of us, we try to sweep it under the rug. We try to drink it away, smoke it away, pop pills with it away, watch television with it away. We try to let this stuff go under the rug, and we're not dealing with the main culprit. Now, like I said, we all get frustrated. We all get angry. But for 75 to 90%, that's basically almost everybody that you see everybody you come in contact with just about is basically stressed out, and it's not a good spot to be in.
And that's so true because this next note is going to say exactly what you just said.
In short, 3 out of 4 people experience stress. That has real effects on our body and mind. Once again, it does. I'll take it a step further. When you're stressed out a lot, it'll raise your blood pressure. When you're stressed out a lot, it'll actually have you having pounding headaches, migraines, and you're wondering, why can't I calm down? Why is my head on fire? Why is my head pounding? Well, 90% of the time you check your blood pressure, it's probably 175/30 or something like that. Now, I know the bottom number is low, but you get my point here. It's that everybody is dealing with this. And let me ask you this. Sure. How can a nation, a country deal with this if 90% of the people are going through this?
That's the dilemma right now because a lot of us are going through it and we're not doing anything about it. So we complain and we always say this, I'm going to stop letting people stress me out. I'm going to stop letting problems stress me out. But yet those same problems stress us out, as you're going to see. And I'm going to beg people, and I don't normally do this, But I'm going to beg you to call someone right now, and I'm going to beg you to stick around because there's a video we're going to show within maybe 5 minutes, and that video is going to rock all of our worlds because it's going to show us where we are as a people and how stress, here's what it's doing to us. And I'm going to be frank. Stress is killing us.
Yeah.
It's actually killing us. And we have to be honest about what is going on with us. Why are we going through this? And a lot of it has to do with our biology. So let's say hello to some of the people who's come in tonight, and then we'll continue to talk about stress, and then we'll also get into showing the video and the information that we have. So having said that, here we go.
Okay. Sister Marie fires in here. She says, Hotel Brothers, we appreciate her for firing in here. Sister Barbara fires in here. She says, Hotel Brothers, with some emojis. We appreciate her for checking in. Sister Mashonda fires in here. She says, hello. We appreciate her for chiming in. Anuji's in the building. She says, peace. We appreciate her for logging in as well.
Yeah, Chaz, we like to just, we want to take this moment out to say to all those viewers that, and these are those viewers that mainly watch us, we want to say to them, we thank you. We want to say to them, we appreciate you. I mean, hopefully this is something that you watch weekly and you learn from it. But we just wanted to take that time out to say we truly appreciate you watching the broadcast, your feedback, and the things that you're learning. Hopefully we're all applying them. But, you know, we just wanted to take that time to say we definitely thank a lot of you for taking time out to watch this broadcast.
Yeah, I'll say the same thing. And in fact, I seen most of you on the show yesterday with the John Kev show. A lot of them chimed in yesterday. So pretty much everybody who said hello today was on yesterday. And I really do appreciate everybody who took the time out to watch us today. Stress affects all people, regardless of race, gender, age, religion, affiliation, educational background, economic status, or political party. And that's absolutely true. Even if you're a millionaire, I mean, they say, and I don't always agree with this, but they say more money, more problems. These kind of things always are going to attract stress. I don't know, once again, I don't know why. I'll put it to you like this. I think the majority of our stress comes from people who want to control things. We're all of us, men, women, all. We try to control things, and when they don't come out the way we want them to be, we start lashing out. We start cursing people out. We start throwing things, breaking things, exploding, just going off. And like you said, with all these races involved, this thing is tied to every race. And it's a shame that everybody is stressing out like this.
Yeah, and stress, like this note says, stress doesn't care who you are. Stress doesn't care what color you are. Stress doesn't care whether you're male or female. It doesn't care whether you're young or old. It doesn't care what you believe. It doesn't care how many degrees you have or don't have. Stress doesn't care what political party you belong to. Stress doesn't care whether you have a penny or $1 million. Stress doesn't care about any of that. But as an African American, we're stressed out more because we have so many other issues that's compounded upon our daily activities. And those activities have really run amok in our lives. And again, I can't wait to get to this video, but I want to say hello to a few people. I'll let you say hello to them, and we'll do maybe one more note, and then we'll go right to that video because I want everybody to lock in tonight. Lock in, relax. We're going to slow it down. We want you to see what we're talking about because this is nothing to play with, and I think we've played with it for so many years, Chaz.
Brother Ray fires in here. He says, hey, Hotel, we appreciate you, Brother Ray, for logging in. Appreciate it. Sister Mashonda fires in here. She says, stress isn't avoidable. It sure isn't. You can't avoid it. You could try to minimize it. You could try to lower it. But like she said, you cannot avoid stress. Only thing I would suggest is try to minimize it and don't let it get the best of you.
No, you can't avoid stress, but I want to piggyback off of that. But there are some things we can do to help maybe slow down the process of what it does to us. And I think, again, I want to show one more note and we'll talk about it. But your stress, we can't avoid it. But there are some things that we can do, Chaz, and we got to start saying this. We have to start allowing the things that we can do to slow down the damage. You see, that's the broadcast tonight. It's the damage. It's what stress is doing to us. It's how stress is treating us. We can do something about that, and we're going to talk about that later on. But as far as the Queen saying that stress, we can't avoid it, she's right about that. But we don't need to pull it up in our laps. We don't need to put it on us every day. So that's one of the things that we wanted to discuss.
This is telling us that most of us don't handle our issues, problems, or dilemmas well, and it takes effect on us. Exactly. And I said it earlier. We're not taking this stuff, we're not taking it seriously. And sometimes, like I said, we're trying to drink it away, smoke it away, we're eating it away. We're just doing all kind of stuff, piercing it away, putting all kind of piercings on us to try to, alleviate the pain. And once again, when you're not handling this stuff well, it will take a toll on you. It'll take a toll on your health. You go to the doctor, you have high blood pressure. It'll take a toll on your health where you're not sleeping well at night. You're always getting these throbbing and pounding headaches like this gentleman is on the screen. And this is just what it is.
It really is. And it tells us that as a society, we're going down the drain. As a society, because we don't know what to do with it, Chazz. And see, that's the problem. We know it happens to us, but we don't know what to do with it. And we have a few comments we want to comment on. And right after the second comment, we're going to show the video. So please do not leave. Lock in, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to show you a video that's going to, hopefully, it's going to change your perspective. And then we're going to talk about what we saw, and we're going to continue. But like you said, Chazz, this is going to be probably a 3 or 4 week deal because we can't rush through this. We can't give it 1 week because it's affecting every one of us, our children, our grandchildren, our brothers, our sisters, our relatives, our cousins, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, our friends, our co-workers. It's affecting all of us. So we must take our time today and talk about this in an intelligent manner. But let's get a few comments, and then we want people to just listen, please. And we want you to comment, but we're going to go through a few comments, and we want to show this video because this is going to set the stage, because a lot of us talk and we don't really know. We just know how it affects us. But we're going to get into the biology of it and some of the things that happens in our brain, because see, that's where it all starts. We're going to talk about what happens in our brains when we're stressed out. And these kids that we are raising, they need to know this now, because if we don't teach them, they're going to repeat the same process that we're repeating because we don't handle stress well.
Sister Barbara fires in here. She says, Mashonda, but it's what our perspective is about the situation, though it shouldn't affect the health, but consequently, mine is not controlled as good as possible. And then Brother Ray fires in here, says you can avoid unnecessary stress though. I'll let you take her comment and I'll get Ray's.
Okay, because what she said is true, because it's our perspective about the situation. But once again, even with the perspective, Chazz, there's some things that we have to do. And I believe, again, once we look into it deep, because we're going to get into it deep tonight, when we get into what stress is doing to us, we haven't even talked about the damage of stress. Right now, we're just talking about stress, the bills, the family, the children, the grandchildren, the health, the job, the racism, the just communication, just all of the things that we go through. And so, beautiful people tonight, please watch this broadcast and look at what stress is doing to us. It is literally killing us. And like this Brother Raymond says here, he says something that I think you could talk about, Chazz, because you said you want to take this, but he's right. There are some things that's unnecessary that we can avoid. So take that away from me.
Yeah, and I would just say, like, you can avoid it as far as putting your nose in everybody's business, trying to always figure out what they're doing. Because here's the thing, 90% of the time we care about the people that we're looking up. So when you're looking in other people's business, if they're going through something, 90% of the time, you're going to get angry and agitated at those situations too. So that's going to spike your blood pressure as well. And like you said, these things can be avoided. Staying out of people's business, learning when things aren't going your way, how to just take it easy and not always try to control it. And last but not least, learning that life is too short to be stressing out over all this dumb stuff when most of it, like this brother said, can be avoided. He's spot on.
Okay, so we have comments coming left and right. So I'm going to pause the comments now. I'm going to pause the comments, and I want to show this video. I want everybody to just please sit back and watch this video, because this video is going to set the stage for what Chazz and I are going to talk about for the rest of the broadcast. And so we really want you to see that it's important that we take our time and that we actually look at what in the world is going on when we stress out. So having said that, sit back. It's a 4-minute video or so. So don't leave us, because stress affects all of us. Who would leave a broadcast when somebody is trying to help you and I, when we know that not only are we dealing with it, but our parents are dealing with it, our relatives, our friends, our co-workers. So who in their right mind would leave a broadcast when they're going to show you something that's going to help us, other than a person that's stressed. So stand by, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to get to it right now.
Are you sleeping restlessly, feeling irritable or moody, forgetting little things, and feeling overwhelmed and isolated? Don't worry, we've all been there. You're probably just stressed out. Stress isn't always a bad thing. It can be handy for a burst of extra energy and focus, like when you're playing a competitive sport or have to speak in public. But when it's continuous, the kind most of us face day in and day out, it actually begins to change your brain. Chronic stress, like being overworked or having arguments at home, can affect brain size, its structure, and how it functions, right down to the level of your genes. Stress begins with something called the hypothalamus-pituitary-adrenal axis, a series of interactions between endocrine glands in the brain and on the kidney, which controls your body's reaction to stress. When your brain detects a stressful situation, your HPA axis is instantly activated and releases a hormone called cortisol, which primes your body for instant action. But high levels of cortisol over long periods of time wreak havoc on your brain. For example, chronic stress increases the activity level and number of neural connections in the amygdala, your brain's fear center. And as levels of cortisol rise, electric signals in your hippocampus, the part of the brain associated with learning, memories, and stress control, deteriorate. The hippocampus also inhibits the activity of the HPA axis, so when it weakens, so does your ability to control your stress. That's not all though. Cortisol can literally cause your brain to shrink in size. Too much of it results in the loss of synaptic connections between neurons and the shrinking of your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that regulates behaviors like concentration, decision-making, judgment, and social interaction. It also leads to fewer new brain cells being made in the hippocampus. This means chronic stress might make it harder for you to learn and remember things, and also set the stage for more serious mental problems like depression and eventually Alzheimer's disease. The effects of stress may filter right down to your brain's DNA. An experiment showed that the amount of nurturing a mother rat provides its newborn baby plays a part in determining how that baby responds to stress later in life. The pups of nurturing moms turned out less sensitive to stress because their brains developed more cortisol receptors, which stick to cortisol and dampen the stress response. The pups of negligent moms had the opposite outcome, and so became more sensitive to stress throughout life. These are considered epigenetic changes, meaning that they affect which genes are expressed without directly changing the genetic code. And these changes can be reversed if the moms are swapped. But there's a surprising result. The epigenetic changes caused by one single mother rat were passed down to many generations of rats after her. In other words, the results of these actions were inheritable. It's not all bad news though. There are many ways to reverse what cortisol does to your stressed brain. The most powerful weapons are exercise and meditation, which involves breathing deeply and being aware and focused on your surroundings. Both of these activities decrease your stress and increase the size of the hippocampus, thereby improving your memory. So don't feel defeated by the pressures of daily life. Get in control of your stress before it takes control of you.
Wow, I was smiling towards the end, and you, excuse me, you know why? They showed the little people. First one was on the side doing the meditation, how that relieves stress, but the other one was showing what some lady was jogging and working out, and that's my kind of thing that alleviates the stress. But man, that's terrible. It was showing throughout this video, throughout what it does to the brain, the impact that it does. I mean, I'm lost for words, man. I really am.
Okay, well, let's go deep now into it. For all those who are watching this, this is the part of the broadcast where we get into some scientific biological things that happen to us. So I want you to just relax and just give me at least 3 or 4 minutes to explain what's going on when we stress out, what actually happens to our brain. I'm not talking about what happens to the outer. I'm talking about what happens to the inner. Okay, now here we go. What you see here is an image of the brain. This thing here, I hope you can see my little arrow, Chazz. Can you see my arrow?
Nuh-uh.
Okay, well, this thing at the bottom that's called the amygdala. It's shaped like an almond. What this is basically the brain's alarm system. In other words, when you face stress, it becomes highly active and it sends what is called danger signals that triggers the release of stress hormones that's called cortisol, which Brother Raymond was saying earlier, that's normal. When you're afraid of something, it sends those hormones that's called cortisol, and that makes you fight, or you run or you flee. Now, the job of the amygdala is basically to protect you. But when your stress lasts too long, Chazz, when you're stressed over and over, when you're arguing, when you're bickering, when you're fighting, when you're allowing your bills to bother you, when I'm allowing my children to bother me, every other day I'm up in the air, I'm stressed out. What happens, Chazz, is this amygdala affects this other part here that's called the hippocampus. The hippocampus, it helps the brain understand rather when the danger is over. So the hippocampus, when the amygdala does its job, after so many minutes, it tells the amygdala tells the hippocampus, everything is okay. You're safe now. You should calm down. So basically what happens is when we stress too long, now stay with me, Chazz.
Okay.
When we stress too long, we call it chronic stress. When we're stressed all the time, the amygdala, it keeps firing the levels of cortisol. See, it's supposed to stop. But this little thing here that says amygdala, it keeps firing the cortisol from the stress that we're going through, and it damages the hippocampus. And what it does to the hippocampus is it makes it shrink, man. So my brain is shrinking when we're stressing out. And a lot of us are living now with brains that are shrunk because the hippocampus has shrunk. It has gotten so small that now it can't control the amygdala. And the amygdala is firing. It keeps firing even when you're not stressed out. It keeps firing and it stays overactive, and it makes the person feel more anxious. It makes the person feel more fearful. It makes the person on edge all the time. And basically what it's doing is it's destroying your brain cells. So people procrastinate all the time. People are not motivated. Then your memory is affected. Your learning suffers because of the hippocampus isn't working properly. Recollection is impaired. Severely, the brain is damaged. Learning suffers. Constant forgetfulness, it begins to set in. Health problems flood in. The hippocampus shrinks, it gets smaller. And so, Chazz, I'll slow it down now and say this. The result of all what I said, the result is this. It's now called the stress loop. When I say the stress loop, because the hippocampus is damaged and it has shrunk, what happens is the hippocampus can't calm the amygdala down. So now there's more fear. There's more cortisol that's being pushed in our brain. The hippocampus is damaged and the brain isn't connecting like it should. And so this is the vicious cycle that most of us live. And this is why we can't remember things. It's not about age, because a lot of us say when we get old, we forget. It's because we have been so stressed out that the hippocampus has been destroyed almost. And this remember things. This is why we're not motivated to do things. This is why we're lethargic. This is why we're procrastinating all the time. This is why learning suffers. This is why we don't want to learn things. We're sick, man, biologically, see? And the video said that it was important that we meditate and exercise. Well, you can meditate till the cows come home. But if you don't exercise, Chazz, that's what's going to help get the hippocampus to make it grow more. But when we're lazy, when we're lethargic, when we sit around, when we do nothing, we're killing ourselves. And we thought it was because we were old that we were forgetting. No, it's because the hippocampus has shrunk. And now we cannot remember, we cannot think, we cannot make decisions, and we're going to be primary suspects for Alzheimer's.
Wow. And I want to say, that's a lot. First of all, when you do this for years, because a lot of us, this isn't like a 1 or 2 year pattern. This has been almost a decade, or even in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. We've been years where we're going through all this stress. So can you imagine a person's mind through decades of this. And like you said, some of us are just so stressed out that I'm pretty sure someone took a camera or something that could look inside of our brains. I know most of our minds are messed up, but the best we can do now that we have this information, retain it and try to do something about it. Because, brother, all that stuff you mentioned about Alzheimer's, unmotivation, forgetfulness, laziness, brother, this isn't good. This isn't good. So we have to take this information and do something with it now.
And I'm telling the people this, and I'm telling myself, because I love the people, Chazz. We love the people. And this is an educational broadcast. And I'm telling you now, you're looking at what happens to us biologically. Okay, I don't care how many times we pray. I don't care how many times we talk and chant and bring in mantras. I don't care how many times we look at the sun and see the solar system and know that the nearest neighbor is the Andromeda galaxy. I don't care how many magical incantations we say. Chazz, like you mentioned earlier, many of us have been affected because we've argued for so many years. The hippocampus, as you see on this screen, that hippocampus should be that size, but it has shrunk because of the stress. The amygdala is supposed to fire cortisol when we're afraid. We're not afraid, but it keeps firing the cortisol, and then it affects our memory. And this is why learning is difficult now. It's because, Chazz, stress has caught up with us, and instead of us doing what we should do to reverse this, we're keeping it going, Chazz. And my heart goes out to all of us, myself included, because this is what happens when a person is stressed out. When a person is stressed out, a person cannot be who they should be. A person isn't interested in doing what they should do. A person realizes that procrastination is something that most of us have a problem with. But when the hippocampus is destroyed, we're not motivated. So it's not a matter of us being procrastinators. It's a matter of our amygdala is still firing cortisol, and it has bothered our learning. We can't remember, Chazz, anymore. So now it's not, our memory is messed up, and all this is due to stress, Chazz. And no one wants to say this, but this is what's going on with all of us, and we need to get a grip on it, because we're going to end up dying with a messed up mind. And instead of us looking at it from a biological perspective, we want to always have magical words that's going to stop this. And like I said, you can pray till the cows come home. You know, I can call on all of the Necharu that I want to. That's not going to help us when this hippocampus has shrunk, Chazz. And this is what we need to talk about. So let's slow the train down. Let's get into some of these comments. And I hope these comments are intelligent. I hope these comments are biologically sound, because I don't have time to be playing games with people who don't realize that we're all in trouble. And this is why we're in the situation we're in. So let's see what we have now on some of the comments, because this is a serious matter, Chazz, and I think we need to really get into it. So here we go. Let's go with Ray's first.
Brother Ray fires in here. He says, this is an old one, I believe. I already addressed this one.
Okay.
Sister Barbara fires in here. She says, but I'm a work in progress, yet sometimes it seems I'm digressing instead of progressing. The older I get, my tolerance isn't as good as it once could have been. Okay, well, she's admitting her fault. She's saying, you know what, I do have an issue. My tolerance level isn't what it was, so now I have to do something about it. So at least step one is her addressing the problem. Step two, once you see that your tolerance level isn't as good as it used to be, you have to put in certain measures to say, you know what, when I was younger, I had more patience for this. Now that I'm older, my patience is a little bit thin. So now I need to do things as far as to not let this stuff get me up in the air. And then she also says at the front part of it, she's a work in progress. That's good. All of us are a work in progress until we leave this earth. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's just sanctified to the point where they don't need any correction. So she's right where she says she's a work in progress as well.
Well, so, I want to say something about that, Chazz. I really do. And I don't mean this with any type of disrespect, because I'm not talking about this sister who says this. I'm talking about us as a people. Okay. Some of this has nothing to do with tolerance, Chazz. Tolerance is not something that when we get older, we see. That's what we've been taught. We've been through so much, we just don't want to be bothered, see? But it has to do with the hippocampus is shrunk. And so this is why we don't want to be bothered with people. Because the thing of it is we have to look at what has happened to us physiologically, okay? And it's not a matter of tolerating people, because everywhere we go, there's people. We're going to tolerate people till we die. Now, I know she means the foolishness and the nonsense. I get that. But Chazz, a lot of times it has nothing to do with our tolerance level. It has to do with we've been through so much with so many people with so many years. We don't want to be bothered with that, and we call it tolerance. Whereas a lot of it, the second part of it is it could be that the amygdala is stuck, Chazz. The amygdala is stuck, and it keeps firing this cortisol, and it's affecting us, and we are not in the mood for that. So you see, a lot of this is biological, man.
Yeah. Brother Ray fires in here. He says necessary stress actually can be healthy. I would somewhat agree with that as far as for things that you should be worried about, like as far as if you know that your health is declining and you're trying to exercise and get back into motion. Okay, that's healthy. I agree with that. If you know that there's certain things you can improve on as far as reading more and things like that, I agree with that. I just don't agree with the stuff where it's like where the control factor, where you're trying to become the control freak and control every outcome. Those kind of things aren't. So I do agree to some degree that Brother Ray is right where he says some stress can be healthy. Do you agree?
Well, I agree, but I want to put it in context because he's just saying necessary stress actually can be healthy. I'm talking about tonight. What we're talking about, the necessary stress that's healthy is like we saw in the video. If you go into a room and you see something that you weren't expecting, or you in the woods and there's a bear, as it showed, the bear came up and the young lady was afraid and she ran. Okay, that's necessary stress because that's when the amygdala is going to tell the hippocampus that there's fear. So then we run. So that's natural. Okay. But there's no such thing as necessary stress because, and I know Raymond is not saying this, but when I'm talking about the stress that we're dealing with is the unhealthy stress. So there's no such thing as necessary stress other than the fact that when you're afraid and your amygdala shoots the cortisol and you run, okay, that's necessary because you want to get out the way because you don't want to get killed. But it's the stress that's put on us is never necessary because it's killing us. It's shrinking the amygdala. And I know the brother didn't say all this, but I'm trying to get into it from a biological perspective because it's going on the inside of us, Chazz. And I hope we're making sense. And we'll keep talking about this because we have so many more videos. We have so many more slides. And I just want us to be intelligent to let us see that these things are really hurting us, man.
Brother Ray says, learning yoga techniques and meditation procedures. Yeah, the lady on the TED Talk video said that one had exercise and there was another picture next to it saying that meditation, these things help lower the cortisol and they lower your stress habit. So yeah, he's right on that meditation part.
That's half. He's right. That's half of it. And we can't knock it because it's right. We need to learn techniques, meditation procedures. That's just a part of it though. Because when the amygdala shrinks, Chazz, now stay with me. When the hippocampus shrinks, let me show you again what I'm talking about because I don't know if people are looking at it from a biological perspective. In fact, let me go to the other video, the other slide here, this one here. When this thing called the hippocampus, when it shrinks, meditation ain't going to help it. I'm telling you, listen, when we meditate, that helps us. Okay, don't get me wrong. But when this hippocampus has shrunk because of all the stress, all the cortisol, we need to actually exercise because it's in exercising that it's going to help this hippocampus grow back to where it's supposed to be. So he's right. Learning yoga techniques and meditation is important. But I'm telling you now, the best thing we can do for stress is exercise. Yes, I can't say it enough. The best thing we can do for stress is exercise because what that does is it's going to reverse the damage that has been done to the hippocampus. And I'm telling you now, we've got to come back at it that way.
Sister Barbara has another comment. She says, Ashe, shaking my head on the real. It has to change. Number one, I must say this is me. I'm without shame to admitting it. Change has to happen. It is already in progress, but I have to slow it down and learn from within to keep pushing forward with a whole different mindset. I don't want it to destroy me. Wow. I'll let you take that and I'll piggyback off of it before we go to Brother Ray's.
Okay, she's right. The change is now. The change is, and I want to make it as practical as I can, Chazz. The change is exercise. I just don't know how else. And I know that everybody knows that that's what it is. That's the change right there. Exercise, consistent, not once every 7 years. You don't have to do it for an hour a day. When we get older, that's something that we should do to help protect and keep the mind intact. Exercise, man, that's what's going to stop it. Calling out magical incantations and crying and howling at the moon and all that, that's not going to do anything. Saying in our minds, I'm going to stop letting these people bother me. Making New Year's resolutions. This year, I'm not going to use vulgarity anymore. I'm not going to scream. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're talking about being practical, Chazz. And that is, get your behind in a gym or at home, get you some equipment, make sure you work up a sweat at least 3 times a week, maybe for half an hour. And then you're going to find and see that your memory is going to become better. You're going to be able to be motivated. You're going to be able to not procrastinate. Your hippocampus and you're going to see the difference. So all that other stuff is not going to work. Words are not going to work.
Let me ask you a quick question. Now, I know in the video we watched, they said that when you're stressed for a certain period of time, it reduces your motivation and you're lethargic and you don't want to. Now, like you said, to counter that, we got to exercise. What do you say to the people's cortisol levels and stuff who are so shot where they're not motivated to exercise and they don't feel enthusiastic about exercising?
Well, I just have to take a page out of our old schoolers book. You better get your black, you know what, and can't say the word because I don't want the FCC to close us down. Get your behind and get my behind up and do it because it's a life or death situation. See, this is nothing to play with. It's not whether you want to or not. It's that which is going to prolong life. It's that which is going to run Alzheimer's away. It's that which is going to help you feel young again. It's not about having a physique, 6'2", 190 pounds, cut chisel, a 6-pack. It's not about that. Stress will tear and wear us down, Chazz. Stress will kill us. So what I'm saying is we've got to get back into shape, get ourselves together mentally as far as doing reading, meditating, and then along with that, exercising. I'm not going to change from the answer to what the problem is. I'm telling you now, I'm not going to change it. It's one simple answer. It's exercise or keep on letting the hypothalamus and the hippocampus, let it shrink and end up being sick.
Wow. Brother Ray Fire's in here again. He says, I hear you, Professor Icky. He's playing around.
I was in this school too. When I graduated from this school, now, I'm on the bigger and better things, but this is a brilliant-minded brother too. But again, let's look at these comments and let's talk about them, Chazz.
Sister Barbara Fire, she says, Big brother, you nailed it. This is deeper than most of our brains can comprehend. But my Angelo is my new go-to. Meditating and listening to podcasts like this. This one should be flooding the page, the entire social media.
Okay, Chazz, notice how I'm looking. Notice how I'm looking when you read that. Okay, that means I got something else to say. I want to give you verse 2 to that. That's verse 1, but I'm gonna give you verse 2. It's
I'll
okay.
let you go ahead.
Okay, it's okay to go to Maya Angelou. It is. It's okay to go to the gurus. It's okay to go to the yoga gurus. It's okay to go to all those people and books that helps us keep a calm mind. It's okay to read that. But we're missing the other part, Chazz. Flip that record over. Exercise. You cannot get away. Listen, and I know that she doesn't mean this. You can read as many books by Maya Angelou. I can read as many books as my favorite guru. I can chant from 7 o'clock at night till 5 in the morning. If I don't exercise, man, this thing called, again, and I don't think people realize this. I really don't think they realize this. But this thing here, that's actually the hippocampus. See, Chazz, because we have not had a scientific approach to this. We have not had a scientific approach. So when stress hits us, we just say, Chazz, I'm not going to let you do me like that anymore. I'm going to stop doing certain things. And that's good because we mean it. I'm going to stop hollering. I'm going to stop cursing. I'm going to stop doing all these things that's going to be non-stress related. Okay. But we haven't even touched the surface because this thing called the hippocampus, if it's already started to shrink and it's really small now, even if we stop doing the things we say we're doing, that thing is still small. So what's going to happen is you're going to be forgetting a lot. you're going to not only be forgetting, you're not going to be interested in learning. And we're going to look at some other videos, and we're going to look at some other notes that talks about some of the things that happens to us, like this, for example. You know, we're not going to be able to sleep. We're going to be irritable. You know, we're going to make nasty decisions. We're going to have loss of confidence. We're going to be depressed. We're not going to want to be bothered. We're going to be fussy. That's describing me. Now, I don't care what no one else says. That's describing me. And I have to be serious if I want to continue to stay around, not just because I want to be around, but that's the right thing to do. And we're going to get into all of these other screens, but this is something we're going to talk about. Hopefully, if we don't get to it today, we're going to come to it next week. But stress affects the body. It affects the mind. It affects our emotions. It affects our behavior. See, this is the scientific approach to it. This ain't just me telling you, I'm going to pray for you, man, and you'll be okay. See, it's deeper than that. So let's continue to go. Let's continue to go and see what the people are saying.
Brother Ray Fires in here. He says the older you get, the less patient you are.
Yeah, and see, but he's right. But see, I'm gonna tell you why. The older we get, the less patient we are, because we've been through so much all of our lives, Chazz. So when we get in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, and 70s, because we've been through so much, we don't have time for that. We're sick of that. And that's all that is. Now, we shouldn't be, but that's because we have been worn down. Every other week is something, and that does take its effect on us. Or maybe, just maybe, the amygdala is stuck, or maybe the hippocampus is shrunk. And this is what you get when we get older.
Sister Barbara fires in. She says, teach it. Okay. She also fires in and says, big brother, I truly appreciate your love, respect, and dedication to this platform. Awesome. Okay. Sister Mashana fires in here. She says, this is so true.
See, we don't have a church, Sash. You and I don't have a church. We don't have a mosque. We don't have a spiritual house to go to. But this is our sanctuary right here. This adults only. This is our sanctuary. This is our holy place, because we're teaching people practical things that they can do. So this is our church, and this sister basically is saying amen. So she's saying amen to what we're saying, because she knows that it's true, man, that stress will have you looking so old when you're young. Because see, I'm really about 23, but look how old I look, because stressed and tore my behind up. So you see, this is what happens, man. This is what happens, Chazz.
Yeah, and I was going to say, too, about it, it doesn't only affect one thing. Stress, it just affects so many other things. Like you said, it affects your health. It affects your mind, the blood pressure. It affects so many other things. And before you know it, you just got problems all over the place because the stress was not diagnosed correctly.
Chazz, I love doing this broadcast with you. As I told Brother Kevin yesterday, I love doing this broadcast with you because these subjects that we're talking about now, a lot of people don't want to talk about them. They want to talk about sports. They want to talk about religion. They want to talk about the media. They want to talk about social media. They want to talk about magazines. They want to talk about music, but they don't want to sit down and talk about this, you see. But it affects all of us. And what we're saying is so practical, man. A gorilla or a monkey can understand this. You've got to exercise so that hippocampus is going to grow so that you can start remembering things again. We can start learning things again. We won't be procrastinating again. I promise you, if we do this for a year and come back on this broadcast, I'm talking about the exercising, and I bet you your memory is going to pick up, because biologically now the hippocampus is working the way it should work, you see? And that's why it is the way it is. Now we have we got so many notes. We're not going to get through any of this, Chazz, because people are just concerned right now with stress. Even little children. You see, little children are stressed. They don't get a good grade. They come home. We fuss at them. We cuss them out. We neglect them. We talk to them bad, causing stress, you see. So we've got to continue to talk about this. I'm going to put this one note up, Chazz, and then I'm going to go back to the comments, because this broadcast is hot tonight. It is on fire.
Number one, damages our memory. Stress.
I'm sorry, Chazz. Let me do this first so we can put it in context. Here we go.
Okay, the damage that stress causes to us Number one, damages our memory. Stress shrinks the hippocampus and makes it harder to remember things. It does. And I think a lot of us on a day-to-day basis, we forget things. We forget we put our car keys. We forget we put our wallets. We forget what we're getting ready to say. We have certain things. For example, I got something important to tell you. And when I'm getting ready to say it, it just leaves me. It slips my mind. These are all signs that the hippocampus is not firing the way that it should be. And like I said, myself included.
Quit talking about me, Chad. Quit talking about me. You taking shots at me on the broadcast now.
No, I literally just said that. I said myself is included, where our memory sometimes, and we all forget things. Nobody's perfect, but when it's alarming to where every other day you can't remember where you put this, can't remember where you put that, need help finding this, need help finding that. These are all signs that hippocampus isn't working correctly.
Let me tell you something, Chad. When this thing is shrunk, see, now we're talking about it from a scientific standpoint. People can go check us out. If you think we're two quacks or we're two charlatans and we're just talking, go do your research, and you're going to say those brothers did their homework. This is the scientific truth of when we stress out what happens. This thing that this arrow is pointed to, this line is pointed to, that hippocampus, when that starts to shrink, we lose our memory, Chaz. And it happens when it happens over so many years and we never address it. It has nothing to do with I'm getting old, so I'm losing my memory. It has to do with I'm getting old and all that stress has caught up with me. My body is not functioning properly, so my hippocampus has shrunk. My amygdala is not firing properly, and now my brain cells are damaged. My neurons are destroyed, and now I have some problems with thinking, with memory. I have problems with forgetfulness. I have all these issues, and it's not because I'm getting old. It's because I'm not exercising, and my hippocampus has shrunk, and no one has told me this. And now I'm thinking that I need to go take Prevagen and all this stuff they're trying to sell you to help you remember things, when that's not going to help you, because the hippocampus is what is going on.
Yeah, it's funny because, like I said, we all deal with it. I deal with it, you deal with it, or we have relatives that deal with it. And it's just sad, like we mentioned some of the things that we can't do. And I'm going to say this real quick, because you've been harping and dwelling on the exercise part, which is fantastic. But we have to tell the people to be consistent with the exercise. This is easy to be motivated, listening to a video like this. They'll be fired up and ready to go to the gym, ready to go to the park. And they'll be doing it for that day, and they'll feel good, which you should do that. If this motivates you to get up and go do it. But you have to be consistent week in and week out, month in and month out. And you have to have recovery days too, to where you're not overworking yourself, at least 2 or 3 days out of the week. But consistency, I have to say, is the exercise part that people are forgetting. You got to be consistent.
Man, stress affects every aspect of our lives. And a lot of us don't want to have these discussions because we rather watch TV, and that's fine. We rather watch sports. That's fine. We rather listen to our crooners sing. That's fine. We rather listen to comedians tell us jokes and make us laugh. That's fine. We rather do all kinds of things except for look at what is going on when we stress out. Some of us can't sleep. It has nothing to do with, I got a problem, I just can't sleep. The hippocampus has shrunk so much, it affects our sleeping problems. A lot of us complain about headaches all the time. I'm always having a headache. I wonder what's wrong with me. The hippocampus has probably shrunk. I bet you start exercising and doing what we're saying, you're going to find out that you're going to be able to sleep at least 5 hours a night. You won't have headaches, the muscle tension or pain. Some of us have chest pain. Some of us have stomach pain. Some of us have back pain. Some of us are fatigued. Some of us have weight gain or weight loss. 1 week we weigh 300 pounds. The next week we down to 2. The next week we down to 1. Then we back up to 2. All these are because the stress is tearing our body up, man. And we're not willing to say, hold on for a second. You guys may not be neuroscientists. You guys may not be doctors. You guys may not be lawyers. But what you're telling me is something that I need to hear. It's something that I need to take advantage of because no one else is telling me this.
Brother Ray Firestone here. He said, life's a beautiful struggle. Enjoy the beautiful struggle. Yeah, you're going to have ups and downs, but you got to, like you said, make the mess out of it. Sister Barbara Fires in behind Brother Ray. She says, Chaz, you got that love as well. Keep up the amazing work. Okay, I appreciate that. And then she says, me.
Yes, she's talking about all the things we're talking. She's testifying to the truth that she's stressed out. See, and a lot of people are not going to admit it because they think that, well, there's something wrong. If I just do this, then I'll be okay. No, you're stressed. The amygdala is stuck. And instead of it firing when it's supposed to fire, it's firing right now and it doesn't have a reason to fire. That cortisol is just messing us up. It has shrunk the hippocampus, and we're not privy to this because we're not interested in science, man. We're not interested in looking at what's really happening to me when I stress out. So we tell everybody, well, my New Year's resolution is I'm gonna stop doing things that I'm doing, especially I'm not gonna let y'all get me up in the air. And as soon as the month rolls around, we're doing it worse now. But the bottom line is we never addressed that amygdala. We never addressed that hippocampus. We never addressed the hypothalamus, which we haven't even talked about tonight.
Brother Ray Fox here. He says, I still remember my baby bed in my room as a baby. Well, he must have some pretty good memory, and that's a sign that his amygdala and stuff is still firing on all cylinders. Because like I said, I know I can't remember that far back, but that's a good comment as well. He also says, I've been suffering with sleeping.
Yeah. He's told us that before. And a lot of times when we suffer from sleeping, everything is not stress related. So we're not wanting you to look under the bed as if there's a boogeyman. Everything is stress related. Some people have insomnia, and it's for other reasons. I'm not a doctor, neither are you. So I would think that in that case, like he said, he's probably being seen for that. What I'm talking about when we can't sleep is because stress, because the hippocampus has shrunk so much. We lay down, we wake right up. We lay down, we wake right up. And it's not because we're sick. It's because the mind, it's physiologically, Chazz. We're affected. These little children need to know this. We need to tell these children as they're growing up in our households, we need to tell them the importance of not stressing. We need to tell them the importance of exercising. We need to tell them the importance of meditating at a young age. See, because nobody told us this. Nobody told us this. And this is why we're struggling. This is why we're having memory loss.
I'll before I make this comment, I'll throw this out there, Brother Ray. I'm not a doctor, but if he's tried, I don't know, Ray, if you've tried or sleep, chamomile tea, lavender tea, or hibiscus tea. Once again, hibiscus tea, lavender tea, or chamomile tea. These are teas that relax you. You can get them at Walmart, HEB, Target, anywhere. They're pretty cheap. Tea bags. You put them on your little stove and cook them for about 4 or 5 minutes and drink them. These things relax you and help relax the muscles, and it helps you get sleep. So, Brother Ray, I don't know if you've tried that or not. Hopefully you can. Now, as we move on to the next one, it says number 2, makes learning harder. Stress slows down and makes it difficult to learn. Yeah, because once again, those cortisol levels are out the roof. We've got so much anger pent up and built up in us. We don't have the energy to actually want to even learn too, because at some point we're so stressed out. Our motivation and our effort is so low, we just don't feel like doing it. So that plays a part in it as well.
And let me give you another scientific approach to it. As you just well said, Chazz, the neurons which are in our brain, these are the things that makes us make decisions, and they fire. And there's another part that's called a synapse, and it's like my two hands. When they go together, they do this, and they make us make those decisions. When the amygdala and the hippocampus is destroyed or being damaged, it doesn't fire that way. So now it's hard for us to think. It's hard for us to learn, see? It's harder, and it's not because of anything other than we need to reverse what has happened to us, because I'm going to show the video before we get off this broadcast. That'll be the last thing I'll show it. I want to show the video again to let people see that it's crazy. Even with those the little situation with the 2 mice, the rats rather, it was trying to show that the mother of the one rat, because she understood, she gave this baby what it needed to deal with the stress. In other words, we could talk to our kids, but the other rat didn't do it. And so those other rats, those mice, they were stressed out, man. They were stressed out because nobody told them that. No one told us this. No one sat us down and told us, quit all that hollering. You're messing with your amygdala. Quit all that stomping and shouting. You're killing yourself. Quit all of that. You're losing your mind. And when we say that, that's literally what's happening. When we say you're losing your mind, you're actually losing your mind. The function, the capacity to think, you're losing it. I want to stop right here, Chazz. I want to do another few comments, And I want to come back with you next week because we didn't even scratch the surface. But I want to thank those people who watch this broadcast because we're talking about stress and what stress does to us from a scientific perspective. We're not telling you to go to nobody's building. We're not asking you to send us in money. We're not asking you to do anything but to do two things. If you find yourself stressed out and can't sleep and all this, meditate, exercise. Meditate and exercise. Don't try to add anything to it. Don't try to take anything away from it. But this is it.
Brother Ray Fires in here. He says, pain wakes me up and I hurt most when I wake up. Man, that's got to be uncomfortable. Then he also says, yeah, I tried that and everything else except sleeping pills. Okay, so he was talking about the tea and stuff I recommended. He says, your rhythm.
Biome,
okay.
Now I want to show that video. I want to show that video again, Chazz, because it's a 4-minute video. So those who are watching this, think of it like you're at a basketball or football game. We're going to go in overtime. We're not going to keep you longer than an hour, but it's at 56 minutes past the hour. Please watch this video again because this can sum it up way better than Chazz and I can. So again, watch the video and we're going to let you see what is really going on when we stress out from a scientific perspective, not just from us talking to you about, yeah, I'm going to stop stressing. You know, I'm tired of these people messing with me. I ain't going to let nobody get on my nerves. The damage has already been done. So here we go again with this video. So Chazz, hopefully we'll be able to bring it in so the people can see it.
Are you sleeping restlessly, feeling irritable or moody, forgetting little things, and feeling overwhelmed and isolated? Don't worry, we've all been there. You're probably just stressed out. Stress isn't always a bad thing. It can be handy for a burst of extra energy and focus, like when you're playing a competitive sport or have to speak in public. But when it's continuous, the kind most of us face day in and day out, it actually begins to change your brain. Chronic stress, like being overworked or having arguments at home, can affect brain size, its structure, and how it functions, right down to the level of your genes. Stress begins with something called the hypothalamus-pituitary-adrenal axis, a series of interactions between endocrine glands in the brain and on the kidney, which controls your body's reaction to stress. When your brain detects a stressful situation, your HPA axis is instantly activated and releases a hormone called cortisol, which primes your body for instant action. But high levels of cortisol over long periods of time wreak havoc on your brain. For example, chronic stress increases the activity level and number of neural connections in the amygdala, your brain's fear center. And as levels of cortisol rise, electric signals in your hippocampus, the part of the brain associated with learning, memories, and stress control, deteriorate. The hippocampus also inhibits the activity of the HPA axis, so when it weakens, so does your ability to control your stress. That's not all though. Cortisol can literally cause your brain to shrink in size. Too much of it results in the loss of synaptic connections between neurons and the shrinking of your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that regulates behaviors like concentration, decision-making, judgment, and social interaction. It also leads to fewer new brain cells being made in the hippocampus. This means chronic stress might make it harder for you to learn and remember things, and also set the stage for more serious mental problems like depression and eventually Alzheimer's disease. The effects of stress may filter right down to your brain's DNA. An experiment showed that the amount of nurturing a mother rat provides its newborn baby plays a part in determining how that baby responds to stress later in life. The pups of nurturing moms turned out less sensitive to stress because their brains developed more cortisol receptors, which stick to cortisol and dampen the stress response. The pups of negligent moms had the opposite outcome, and so became more sensitive to stress throughout life. These are considered epigenetic changes, meaning that they affect which genes are expressed without directly changing the genetic code. And these changes can be reversed if the moms are swapped. But there's a surprising result. The epigenetic changes caused by one single mother rat were passed down to many generations of rats after her. In other words, the results of these actions were inheritable. It's not all bad news, though. There are many ways to reverse what cortisol does to your stressed brain. The most powerful weapons are exercise and meditation, which involves breathing deeply and being aware and focused on your surroundings. Both of these activities decrease your stress and increase the size of the hippocampus, thereby improving your memory. So don't feel defeated by the pressures of daily life. Get in control of your stress before it takes control of you.
Wow, that was a lot. You would get me, man, when the background making those sound effects, man. That was really getting me.
It really is. We're gonna come back next week, and I know we're gonna stop it now because it's a minute past the time we're supposed to go. But I want to leave my closing remarks are going to be as possible. Chazz, we have to look at life from the perspective of there's been about maybe 10 billion people born. But if you look at all the people that could have been born, if you look at the possibilities of the people that could have been born throughout all the years, it's about 30 billion, trillion. I can't fathom that number. It's too great. So what I'm trying to say is this. We are the lucky ones because all the people that could have been born, they weren't born. So we hit the lottery. In other words, in order to die, you have to live. And because we're living, we are the ones that are lucky that get a chance to die. So after we get done living, we should be the type of people who should enjoy life and not be stressed out. So go to the park, smell flowers, walk around, look into the sky, breathe, hug a tree, pick a dandelion, run around, because we're the ones who are lucky that get to die. So instead of looking at it sad like the other way, look at it like we're the luckiest people in the world because all the people that could have been born, they never going to be born. So we got to have that kind of perspective when we talk about stress. So I hope this is an encouragement to everyone to take life more seriously and enjoy it because, as we say, we're the ones who hit the lottery. You hit the lottery. I hit the lottery. Everybody that who have lived and died, that we've all hit the lottery because, as I said before, all the people of the 30 billion, trillion who could have been born, they're never going to be born. So we should enjoy life, man. Tell people that you love them. This is what this broadcast is about. But if not, we're going to be stressed out till it's over with. Quit running to these places where you're not learning anything. Watch this broadcast, adults only, so that you can know that we're going to tell you something that no one else is going to tell you. We're going to give you practical tips that's going to help you live. We're not going to take your money and lie to you and tell you to talk up to something that's still going to make your hippocampus shrink. We're giving you something practical, Chazz. And I don't know what else to say other than next week, we got to come back with the same intensity and this fire because this is done for the people, because a lot of us are stressed out, myself included. And this has really spoke to my heart. And I'm not going to let the things that I should be doing, I'm not going to neglect those anymore. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to meditate more. And then I'm going to begin to remember more. And then I want to see my comeback when people say, man, what's wrong? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Now, that's how you get stress out of your life. Instead of saying, oh, I'm not going to let these people bother me. So here's some final comments. I'll let you close us out. And I'm out of here, but I'll let you take us home. But here's a few comments that Ray and some other people say, and I'll let you take us out of here.
Brother Ray Fires in here. He says, I wonder how oppression affects the brain. I'm pretty sure it's bad. I know it couldn't be good. It's got to be something terrible. And that's why some of our oppressors throughout the years, I believe they knew this information as well to oppress certain people. They knew it would stress us out. They knew it would mess our minds and stuff up. And that's why some of them are still doing it to this day. So I do believe it affects the brain.
Well, we answered that question. We answered the question. When we are oppressed and we're stressed out, it affects the hippocampus. It affects the amygdala. And so what it does is it makes us forget things over a long period of time. So that's how it affects the brain. But I know that's what he was asking.
He says, love, peace, and respect. We appreciate that, Ray. Respect and peace to you. I love. Sister Barbara Fires in here. She says, love this great show. Appreciate her. And Sister Mashana Fires in here. She says, Shimotep. We appreciate her.
Okay, Chazz, I'm gonna let you take us home, man, and I'll see you next week. But I want you to get us out of here in style. And once again, man, it's always a pleasure to do these broadcasts. I'm looking forward to next week. But to all the people that watch this, I'm out of here. Chazz, you're going to take us home. So
I appreciate everybody that logged in tonight. But tonight was important about stress. Not letting this stuff get to you. What it does to your cortisol. What it does to the amygdala, the hippocampus. We have to start taking these things seriously because throughout the years, we've been under constant frustration, constant pressure, constant torture, constant oppression. And now that we know these things, we have to figure this stuff out and say, you know what? I'm not going to let my amygdala get shrunk anymore. I'm sick of it. The way you fight that is, of course, by exercising and not letting this stuff get the best of you because life is too short, as we mentioned. You don't want to be riddled with blood pressure medication every other day, taking this stuff because you're so stressed out. It's not a game, folks. And I hope to see you guys next week. I hope you learned something and tell a friend to check this page out. And we hope to see you guys next week. Take care, everybody.